So first of all, following those two speeches is really awesome for me. And what Max just touched on was awesome, because I couldn't agree more with that sentiment that I don't understand why anybody wouldn't want to go to Ocean Township High School. For me, even coming in here now, it's been a rush of nostalgia, just seeing all the things and all the great memories that I have from this school. So it's really an honor to be up here in front of all of you today. And Mr. Polano, I appreciate you inviting me out here. I'm just really excited to talk to this school and to share a message with all of you. And when I was thinking about what I wanted to say to you all, I had a huge rush of different messages that I wanted to get out, and I really couldn't compress it all into one thing. And I said to myself, John, you're going to be all over the place if you try to say all of those things. So hopefully I don't get too crazy on you, but bear with me if I do. I ask for your patience. But the main concept I want to get across to all of you today is that I believe strong individuals who are similar to the people that have been mentioned today and the people who have been brought up here are created by strong groups. And for me, when I was in college, I was about 19 years old, I found a quote from Teddy Roosevelt in his speech, Citizenship in a Republic. And some of you may have heard of it. It's called the Man in the Arena speech. And it goes like this. It is not the critic who counts. It is not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no great effort without shortcoming, but who does strive to do the deeds, who knows the great enthusiasms, who knows the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best, in the end, knows the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, so that his place will never be amongst those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. That quote, to me, it epitomizes sort of the approach that I brought to life after high school and the willingness that I had, even in moments of fear, to step into the arena and to be challenged. And I think that we as a people need to engage in those challenges more. But there's two things that Teddy Roosevelt missed in that quote. And the first one I'll kind of give to him. It's that he doesn't mention the ladies. And women step into the arena just as much as men do. But I'll give to him that perhaps he was using the term man in the greater sense of the word mankind. But the other thing that the discussion of the arena doesn't cover is all of the people who brought you to that arena. All of the people who made you successful for the time for you to step into the arena. And I think that those are the people who you don't even realize are surrounding you all right now. They're your teachers, they're your coaches, they're your training partners, they're your family members who want to see you be as successful as possible. And they are the ones who bring you to the arena and who will carry you out afterwards, whether you are victorious or whether you fail. For me, there were three major things that I learned in these four walls that helped me to be successful for the times when I would later step into that proverbial arena. I'm happy that he just walked in for this speech, but the first lesson is the theory of constant improvement, and that came to me from a man that you all know named Mr. Lambusta. I can remember vividly standing out on the football field here at Ocean Township High School with that snarl that he has, kind of looking through my face mask and telling us, the lineman, because he was our lineman coach, today you need to get better. Because if you don't get better today, you're going to get worse. Because somebody else is out there and they are getting better than you. And he would also tell me that my senior year was actually Coach Klein's first year coaching as a head coach. And we had just won a state championship 2 years prior. We won a division championship the year before that. And we had some really great teams. But my senior year, we didn't have a whole lot of depth in our lineup. And I had a potential spot to start as a center. And I think we all know how competitive the short conference is. And I weighed about 20 pounds less than I do right now, and I think I was about 2 inches shorter. So there wasn't a whole lot of depth, and I got lucky by landing that position. And Coach Lambusta came up to me and he said, John, You don't need to be the strongest, and you don't need to be the fastest. But you, because you are neither of those things, you need to be the smartest. And I would take that with me as I would approach things in college and as a Marine infantry officer, understanding that there were some of my men that I would be in charge of who would be stronger than me and who would be faster than me and who could probably carry more weight than I could, but I had to be the smartest one around them, and I had to be able to lead them. The second lesson that I learned was from Mr. Polano, and he gets mad at me. He says that I don't attribute him enough for the things that he's taught me, so here it goes. He was my TV productions teacher when I was here my senior year, and he was still bald back then, in case you're wondering. I had to throw that in there for you. So my senior year, we had 3 shows that aired every week. Every single week we had a Wednesday show, a Thursday show, and a Friday show. And I was responsible for one of those shows. And we had set the date that we were going to air our first show. And that first show we only aired one of the 3 shows in our first week to air. And I remember that Friday coming in and sitting down in the classroom and looking at Polano's big, shiny, bald head in the front of the classroom, and he was upset. He was disappointed in us. And I remember him saying to me and the rest of the class, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter how hard you work. It doesn't matter the great content that you can gather. It doesn't matter all of the editing that you do. If you don't air at showtime, then you failed. And I think this is a tough concept for us to comprehend as a people. This concept that in the end, if you don't execute, then all of your work is null and void. Now, there are times when it's okay to execute and fail, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But to not execute, to work so hard and to never cross the line of departure and actually get to the objective, that is a failure. And we had a saying in the Marine Corps that the perfect plan that never gets executed is nowhere near as good as the 80% plan that does get executed. And so this obsession with perfection is not always something that we should put above our need to execute. I'm amazed that I'm not the first one to quote Ralph Waldo Emerson today because Mr. Looney beat me to the chase. But my final lesson that I learned here at this school was from Mr. Treleski. And he was the AP English teacher my senior year of high school. And I was competing in an oratorical contest to win a scholarship to college. And basically, I was giving a speech on the 16th Amendment to the Constitution, and I was talking about the importance of naturalized citizens being born here on our soil or on military bases. And he was helping me write my speech. And I had gone through my second and my third draft of the speech, and he just brought me into his office and sort of threw the speech down on his desk and said, "John, this isn't cutting the mustard." And he handed me another sheet of paper, and it was a summary of an essay that was written by then the valedictorian in my class. He said, "John, this is what you need to be writing like. This is the story that you need to tell. This is the passion that you need to bring to your writing, to your speaking." And the summary was on an essay by Ralph Waldo Emerson called Self-Reliance. And so then Mr. Treleski handed me the Self-Reliance essay. He said, "Go home and read this. Read this and see how this man speaks with conviction and with passion." And so I opened up the book and I read it and I read this essay, and one of the quotes that stuck out to me so much was, "What I must do concerns me and not what the people think. What I must do concerns me and not what the people think." And that right there has taken me so far in my life. And the reason that I bring this up, I say this to you, I'm only 28 years old. I still have so far to go. I mean this from the most humble point of view. But everything that I have gained in life is due to the things that I learned in this school initially. Of course, there were experiences that I had that built on it later on, but the most important part were the strong groups that I was a part of and the strong people who helped me to be a better individual. Because I was a different person when I walked through these walls. I say that what I must do in life concerns me and not what the people think is the most important because of the fact that for me, joining the military was one of those moments where I had to do what concerned me and not care about what other people think. When you come home and you look your mother and your father in the eye and you tell them that you're joining the military, tears come down their face. They're scared. You tell your old teachers, you tell your old coaches that you're going into the military, and some of them will tell you no. that you shouldn't do this. And they don't do this to you because they're scared. I'm sorry, they don't do this to you because they don't want you to be successful. They do this to you because they're scared, because they want you to be happy in life, and they want you to be safe. But what a lot of people in society don't realize is that for us to be truly happy, we need to engage in these endeavors that other people don't understand. And we need to take on these challenges that give us a sense of purpose, a sense of values, and a sense of belonging that are most important in life. For me, that was joining the military. And for you, it may be something completely different. That can be deciding that you want to be an actor. That can be deciding that you want to go and write a book. That can be deciding that you're not going to listen to the person who's telling you to get a business degree, and you're going to follow through with that broadcast journalism degree because you think it's the most important thing in the world to you right now. And if you fail, at least you failed while daring greatly, so that your face will never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory and defeat. I say this to you because you need to consider a longitudinal study that was conducted by Harvard, okay? And so a lot of us, we mistakenly assume that happiness is tied to money, okay? And statistics show that a household income of $150,000 is the maximum correlation of income to happiness, okay? Now, I understand that sounds like a lot of money, right? $150,000 is a lot of money to me, but that's you and your spouse, so household income. Once you reach that point, the amount of money that you make in life no longer correlates to your happiness. And Harvard did this longitudinal study where they determined what did correlate to your happiness. And what it was they followed people throughout their entire lives. And they followed people all over the country, every part of the nation. They followed people in every socioeconomic standing, every race, every color, every creed. Whatever your sexual orientation was, it didn't matter. And they followed you for your entire life. And they found one thing that led to the happiness for these people. And it was meaningful relationships. That was all that they needed. That was all the happiest people in the study needed. And it wasn't even a lot of meaningful relationships. It was one or two. Okay? And for me, the way that I ensure that throughout my life I will have meaningful relationships is by being a part of strong groups. I still talk with the members of my football team. I just finished telling Mrs. Weldon about 6 of the people that I graduated high school with who all played football with me. I still talk to Mr. Polano, who was my TV productions teacher. I went on to college. I joined a fraternity. I'm going to see all of my fraternity brothers this weekend at a wedding. I joined the greatest fraternity in the world, I think, and that was the Marine Corps Infantry. And I've been out for about 6 months now, and I still get phone calls almost every day from one of my friends who was in the infantry, or text messages or things like that. I married into a great family, and they all look out for me, and they're a large family who really cares about meaningful relationships and about caring about each other and looking out for each other. To me, the way that I ensured throughout my entire life that I would have meaningful relationships was by being a part of strong groups that would take me far in life. And so I recommend that to you. And the reason that I recommend that you find strong groups and strong people to keep around is because of this. Previous generations that we hold up high, like the greatest generation and the generations that followed, they were able to tie their happiness, their relationships, their sense of purpose, their sense of values, their sense of belonging to their work. It's a scary future for you all because of the fact that a lot of work is going to disappear. And I don't say this because you need to be scared, because perhaps this lack of work that is going to be replaced by robots and by technology is going to give you an opportunity to engage in more creative endeavors. Maybe one of you is going to be the one who takes that time that they're not spending working on something ridiculous to figure out how to solve the opiate epidemic that we're facing in this county and in this state. Maybe one of you is going to write that next great novel that we can read while we're on the beach this summer. Maybe those are the things you're going to engage in. And that would be amazing if you did. But I bring this up to you because, to me, previous generations always found their sense of purpose and sense of values in work. And you don't have that opportunity, I think. A Vice special report on jobs in America brought up the fact that we're going to lose 1.2 million trucking jobs in the next 10 years. And I know some of us are thinking, I'll never be a trucker. I totally agree with that. Maybe you will, who knows. But then after that, we're going to lose 3.2 million jobs in the service industry And we're already starting to see that go away. People working in fast food restaurants are now losing their jobs. And so the response is that we need to teach these people to code, that we need to teach these people to do other things that will make their lives more useful in the economy. But then people who come back against that point out that coding may disappear in the next 10 to 12 years because computers will do that instead of us, and they will take those jobs away too. So I say this to you because you are no longer going to be able to find a sense of purpose, sense of values, and sense of belonging in the job that you go to the way previous generations in our country did. But what you are going to be able to do with this free time is join strong groups. Find those people who make you a better person. Iron sharpens iron, so should one man sharpen another man. And that goes for women too. So to you, I recommend that you think now about those people who are allowing you to step into the arena. I recommend that you think about the coaches and the training partners and the loved ones who care about you, who have brought you to that arena that you can step into and be competitive in. And if you fail, or if you are successful, remember that those are the same people who are going to carry you out. And if it's after a defeat, they're going to brush off the dirt on your shoulders and make you stand up and go back and train again. And if it's after a success, they'll put you on their shoulders and they'll carry you out like a champion. Thank you.